So moving on, what is the journey of the website? And so what happens is first, I'm on the computer, I'm engaging, and I go to the landing page. And from the landing page, I get their information. I ask them to opt in. And what opt in is you give them your email address and information, and then they tell you go to your email account and confirm that you're actually doing it. And that way, they get less spam. And they know your information is for real. And in certain cases, they ask you to make accounts. Now, it's annoying, but it's the easiest way to track you because you've given them permission to look at your information. And so there are different places you can go. If you don't know a lot about them, maybe you go to their About page. Pretty much every website has these components. You have information about yourself, you have information about products, and you have content. And so the question is going to each of those, in each of these, eventually you want it to lead to sales. Now, there's always a chance they're going to bounce out at any one of these pages and just leave, or they might go on to another page. And so through each of these, the way you design your website, the way you target things, is you want to drive them eventually to sales. And so the base journey is, first part is making traffic, and at the bottom these are the metrics. These are the things you measure, such as click-through rate. When there's a little icon there to click on it, do you actually click on it? The opt-in page is the landing page. You're interested in cost per click. How much is it costing you to get them there? Because you might be using pay approaches or something like that to get them to click. How am I engaging with them? What are my conversion events? What is it that gets them to actually get to sales? There comes a point where you have to ask. So maybe you have automated emails that gives them more information. And then finally, the sale itself. And so you're interested in cost of customer acquisition. It's written as COCA or it's written as CAC. What's my long-term value? How much is my annual value for my customer? And what kind of ROI I'm getting, especially if I have ads. And so this is your base journey and the variables that you measure. And this is your analytics. Also has to do with money and cost. And if you have location-driven elements, you can actually skip over steps. Now, in terms of engaging your customer, how do you go about doing that? And so we've talked about touch points. And so going through the funnel, there are different ways I can touch people. So in terms of, wow, that came out wrong. Engage people. There's awareness, and typically a lot of people use email to get awareness. And then from the website, how am I going to do purchasing? Well, a lot of people like to use e-commerce. So when they go to a website, they want to buy it from there. And then I'm going to have to service my customer. I'm going to have to support them. And this is one thing I absolutely hate. A lot of companies use FAQs, and then you spend a lot of time going through FAQs trying to figure out the answer to your question. And it takes forever to finally get to a human being. And then socially afterwards, I follow up with you and try to engage you in other ways in terms of loyalty. So how do I influence you? I need to find, engage, and act. And finding you is about how I grant you access, engaging you, what are the terms, the quality of it, and acting is about triggering. And so it's still about distribution. It's the portal, the time, and the quality. And this is why mobile's so powerful, because it's pretty much on 24/7. Google, they have, this is why, part of the reason why they also develop their Android systems, because they want to be on different formats and different systems. Now, there are limits to a portal that you're using. And in case of mobile especially, you can only have so much visual media. You're limited not only by the computing speed, but the size of the display. You can only have so much information. And this is part of the reason why people spend more time on apps, because it's very targeted. And when you're on mobile, when you're on your phone, you have a lot less patience than you do when you're on your computer. Because when on your computer, you're at one place. When you're mobile, what is it? You're moving around. You want speed. And so that's an issue. So who's the champ? Where do people spend their time? And as it turns out, the champ is YouTube. That kind of makes sense. YouTube has all kinds of content and information, and so that's where people go. How do you spend your time every day? Because naturally, the more time you spend somewhere, the more you're engaged. Google is a little over 8 minutes. YouTube, a little over 9 minutes. Facebook, almost 11 minutes. So who's the champion of the web? Reddit. A whopping 16 minutes. And for those of you who aren't familiar with Reddit, Reddit says it's the front page of the internet. And essentially it's a posting board where people share information. And the thing about Reddit users is part of the reason why it's so high is because they're passionate about it. And normally when I ask in class how many people use Reddit, I only see like 4 or 5 hands go up. I don't use it. I've had to get to know it because I'm teaching a digital marketing class. So why is Google investing in a self-driving car? What does that have to do with search engines? Why is home automation such a big deal? Like you can't turn a doorknob anymore? Why was TV the first appliance to go to the web? And where's Microsoft in all this? And what it all comes down to is everybody wants a chunk of your time. If Google has the technology to make a self-driving car, guess what? You're going to be sitting in the back seat and you're going to have time to go out and buy stuff or to get on Google. Same thing with home automation. A lot of it's about controlling the information in your house because that home automation has to connect to some kind of base system. That base system can start having ads and things like that in it. And TV was the first appliance to go to the web for the simple reason that we had a meshing, that computers started out as information tools, spreadsheets, then they became a communication tool with email, and then they became our entertainment tool. And this is why TV was ready to go to the web. And Microsoft, one of the biggest companies in the world, they make a boatload of cash. Microsoft understands who they are. Guess what? They're never going to be as cool as Apple. It's not part of their culture. It's not who they are. But what Microsoft is really good at is working with businesses. And that's why they bought LinkedIn and are focused on that way. Yeah, some of this may seem like repetition, but these are the valuable lessons to remember. And that's it. It's all about engagement. In order for a network to happen, people have to be active. You have to be cognizant of the fact that people are overloaded, and so you have to get your point in quickly. And also it's hyper competitive. There are so many options out there, and that's where you have to decide what it is that you actually want to go use. This is how we spend our time. Although, for the life of me, I don't know who gets 7.7 hours of sleep a night. I know it's not me. Some of you have probably gotten emails from me at 2 or 3 in the morning. Last semester I got into this bad habit, and the reason why is I was teaching evening classes, so I had to stay up late. Plus my classes tended to start later at like 10:30 and all, and so I still haven't broken the habit. Content and influencer marketing, we've talked about it, and it's such an important part of digital marketing. And that's because content is my bait. This is how I draw you in. This is how I keep you interested. This is how I get you to act. And influencer marketing, again, the 2 big features that we talked about. Number 1, there's a network that already exists out there that I can take advantage of. And number 2, it gives me credibility, that if the right people vouch for me, I'm in great shape. So this is the content marketing universe. This is what all revolves around. Content marketing could be about search engine. Why? Because when they do search engine, you've tagged your content, so it looks for you. That's why it's actually very important. Native marketing, can you make something exist with something else? Offline marketing still counts the physical marketing. And it also impacts influencer marketing, because if I'm going to influence someone, I need content. In terms of digital channels, citations, basically people referencing me, links. Can I get buzz? And that's referred to as Ripple. The responses and ROI. These are the metrics that I look at in order to look at my newsletters or blogs. This is what I measure against. Doing content and influencer marketing, some things will work, some things won't. So you have to be constantly experimenting, which is A/B. And this is the social media landscape, and this is how we engage, whether it's in publishing, sharing, discussions, things to tell me about life. And so here's an example of all the different types of social media that currently exists. Here are the social media giants. One thing and this data is fairly recent. I mean, it's about almost a year old, but it takes a while to collect it. And the thing I found really interesting is they forgot to put in Snapchat. Are they telling us something? But Snapchat has 187 million users. Some of these, like VK, is not in the United States. Where are they? Russia, the Ukraine. Yeah, we as Americans, we're not really all that keen about them. And here are actually some of the other social giants, such as Pinterest. MySpace is still around, still kicking. Now, the big thing we see about social media is social media tends to be one of three types. One is more oriented towards business, like LinkedIn, more oriented towards content, such as Instagram, about photos or your videos, or is it more personal, where I'm talking to like family and things like that, and that's like Facebook. But the interesting thing is that all of them are converging to the middle. Facebook wants to also be your site for business. It also wants to be your site for content. And so everybody's going towards the middle, including Google. And so what are my objectives? What are the pros and cons of all this social media? It's how does it do in search engine? Is it good at creating brand awareness? Is it a good conduit for me to communicate with my customer? And how well does it drive traffic? And so here's a trade-off between the different social medias that you can look over on your own. In terms of landing page, the first thing they see is your headline. Your headline has to be short, it has to be impactful, and it has to support the brand. And so other things I need on my landing page that I should consider putting on is testimony, meaning validating it, content, offers, and somewhere on there you have to have a call to action. What is the point when they come to your website? And so these are the landing page key factors. This is your checklist that you look through. And being clear and concise actually matters. Actually, one thing that's driving Dr. Chuck crazy is if outside of Peralta over the elevators, they actually put up a wood plaque and it talks about what is engineering, and they have the word working, and instead they typoed it and it says walking. And I'm sitting there, they left the R out, and I'm sitting there like, oh no. Because we have visitors and things like that, and so to have a typo there is like really, really embarrassing. On the other hand, you've probably heard about that, Asian band and their big rock hit. You mean you've never heard of Walk This Way? Bada boom. Anyway. Here's an example of the landing page for Target. As you can see, very clean, and they're making their points about what they want you to do. They're creating time urgency, that the sale ends soon. Wistia, better video hosting, and so they're a video site. ASU use them to a certain degree. Bills.com, what do? They give you a drop-down menu, so you could tell them what it is that you're actually interested in. And so if you also notice in the upper right-hand corner, they have a login. So when I engage with the website, It's about UI and UX. Now, UIT and GIT majors know all about this. But UI is about user interface. And in terms of interface, how do I interface with something? And so it could be either by sight, sound, or the tactile experience. And so this is what they refer to as sound geometric and haptic responses from that information. And so remember when we talked about communication, we talked about transmission, encryption, decryption, this is where it starts to kick in, especially on digital. And so I'm interested in emotion, behavior, and the human factors. My user experience, what am I concerned with? Is it easy to use? Does it serve a purpose? And was it pleasant? Is it memorable? This is part of the reason why there's so many digital consultants out there. Think about how many crappy websites you come across. And so it's bad user experiences. And we'll wrap up this long lecture. Yeah, these digital ones are long. A lot of information. But talking about web metrics.